Okay, well, it says it's right before the children's recessional.
I have followed previous services over the past 10 those stories usually came the children's professional, but other teams, Good morning, everyone. Let us gather with our gathering hymn, number 101 in your gray hymnals, Abide with Me.
Bird, and I'm a member of this congregation. Michaela Brandt will light our chalice. Please join me in our chalice lighting words found in your order of service. We light this chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, to remind us to connect in spirituality and service, to care for each other and the world, and to create loving community. Unitarian Universalists honor many spiritual practices, and today it is my pleasure to introduce our guest preacher, John Kernodle. John is a lifelong resident of Greensboro, North Carolina, and grew up in the United Church of Christ, becoming a practicing Buddhist at 16 and taking refuge first in the Gelug School of Tibetan Buddhism before transitioning to a Zen lineage connected to the Sanbo Kaiwadan international tradition of Zen Buddhism. He has a BFA in theater from Elon University, studied at Harvard Divinity School, and earned his Master's of Divinity in 2019 from the Wake Forest University School of Divinity. John is the founder and director of Bridge and Refuge, a new Buddhist-aligned spiritual direction and meditation instruction practice. He is working to become licensed to teach Zen Buddhism. He currently conducts meditation sessions with Friends Center, the Interfaith Campus Ministry of Guilford College. John takes seriously the Bodhisattva vow to liberate all beings from suffering, and he hopes to inspire faith leaders of all religions to, in the words of the late Cambodian monk Maha Ghosananda, leave our temples for the suffering-filled temples of human experience. Welcome, John. Welcome to the worship at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro. Unitarian Universalists believe that each person has a trustworthy relationship with the Spirit, with the Holy, with the source of all life, with what some call God, though we name it and know it differently from one another. And we believe that because we are interconnected, nobody is free until we all are free. So we strive to build beloved community here on earth, in our fellowship with one another and in our work for justice. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, informed by many sacred traditions and sources, including Buddhism. We are from many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Please take this time to turn your cell phones off. I will introduce our usual ministry team. Here at UUCG is Cindy Dillard, our Director of Children's and Youth Ministry, Julie Hamilton, our Congregational Administrator, Colin McCrae, our Music Director, and our minister who is off today, the Reverend Sadie Lansdale. A covenant contains the promises we make to one another in response to the great gift of living, holding ourselves to these holy aspirations. Will you join me in our church covenant? We, the members of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro, do covenant to promote the search for personal meaning, respecting the individual truth in a community process of quest, speak and act with care and courtesy and love, thereby maintaining emotional, physical, and spiritual safety for all. Support UUCG and denominational efforts with our resources. Combat injustice while promoting equality. Nurture our children on their spiritual journey. Hold ourselves to this covenant, especially during times of conflict and disagreement. Please join us for our opening hymn, number 128, For All That Is Our Life. If you're joining us in the sanctuary, won't you wave hello to everyone joining us online? If you're online, go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat. If you're in person, let's greet our neighbors.
I'm so glad to be here. Y'all are always great to be with.
Calling out to hungry hearts, everywhere through endless time. You who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this body mine, calling out to hungry spirits everywhere through endless time, calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and the left behind. Gather round and share this meal, your joy and your sorrow, I make them mine. Calling out to hungry hearts, everywhere through endless time, you who wander, you who thirst, I offer you this body mine. Calling out to hungry spirits, everywhere through endless time, calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and the left behind. Gather round and share this meal, your joy and your sorrow, I make them mine.
Before our moment of silence, I just want to say how grateful I am to be with you all today. It's always a joy and an honor to be with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Greensboro. Thank you for having me. How beautiful it is to be together. We gather in gratitude this morning, turning our hearts to thanks and praise for the gift of living, in the presence of the Spirit that animates all life, and in the knowledge that we are powerfully, profoundly connected to all that is, all that has been, and all that will be. During these few minutes of silence, you can focus on something you're grateful for, or someone you are remembering especially today, or just the sensation of the chair supporting you. Will you find a comfortable place in your seat and take a few easy breaths as we settle into our shared silence together? We bring the echoes in our hearts before our community and before the holy in this sacred space and time. If you're online, this is the time to share your joys and sorrows with one another in the chat. If you're in person and you have a milestone you would like to added to our prayers, you can fill out a yellow card which ushers will collect from you. If there's a joy in your heart, place it in the vase. If there's a sorrow, place a stone in the bowl. You may light a candle of prayer and presence for someone you're holding close to you. If you're not sure how you're feeling, or maybe you're feeling a little antsy, there are pipe cleaners in the back to fidget with, or you may have brought needlework you can feel free to do. In church, we practice becoming more fully human. This is our time to take stock of how we arrive here and to take what we need, knowing that the table is set for us all. I invite you to assume a posture of prayer that is meaningful and familiar to you. Let us pray. I am only a simple disciple, but I offer these respectful words. When I regard the nature of the many dharmas, I find them all to be sacred forms of the Tathagata's never-failing essence. Each particle of matter, each moment is no other than the Tathagata's inexpressible radiance. With this realization, our virtuous ancestors, with compassionate minds and hearts, gave tender care to beasts and birds. Among us, in our own daily lives, who is not reverently grateful for the protections of life, food, drink, and clothing? Though they are inanimate things, they are nonetheless the warm flesh and blood, the merciful incarnations of Buddha. All beings by nature are Buddha, as ice by nature is water. Apart from water, there is no ice. Apart from beings, no Buddha. How sad that people ignore the near and search for truth afar, like someone in the midst of water crying out in thirst. Lost on dark paths of ignorance, we wander through the 6 worlds. From dark path to dark path we wander. When shall we be free from birth and death? In our response to such suffering, may we completely relinquish ourselves. May we clean ourselves of the dirt we bring into our own lives. Where are the dark paths then? The Pure Land itself is near. Those who hear this truth even once and listen with a grateful heart, treasuring it, revering it, gain blessings without end. Much more if you turn yourself about and confirm your own self-nature that is no nature. You are far beyond mere argument. The oneness of cause and effect is clear. Not 2, not 3. The path is straight ahead. With form that is no form, going and coming, never astray. With thought that is no thought, singing and dancing are the voice of the law. Boundless and free is the sky of samadhi, bright the full moon of wisdom. Truly, is anything missing now? Nirvana is right here before our eyes. This very place is the lotus land, this very body the Buddha. May we retain this mind and extend it throughout the world so that we and all beings become mature in Buddha's wisdom. Amen. Om.
Calling out to hungry hearts, everywhere through endless time, you who wander, you who thirst, we offer you this body mind. Calling out to hungry spirits, everywhere through endless time. Calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and the left behind. Gather round and share this meal. Your joy and your sorrow, I make them mine. Calling out to hungry hearts, everywhere through endless time. You who hunger, you who thirst, I offer you this body mind. Calling out to hungry spirits, everywhere through endless time. Calling out to hungry hearts, all the lost and the left behind. Gather round and share this meal. Your joy and your sorrow, I make them mine.
Will you join me in prayer and presence? We name aloud or in the chat those people on our hearts, living or dead, near or far, that this community might hold them in love. Held by silence and song, we offer our joys and sorrows alike, knowing that they are woven fine. Diane writes, a sorrow for the loss of my Uncle Douglas, but grateful for the opportunity to visit with family at services. Diane, our prayers of compassion are with you. Phyllis Sutphin writes, please join me in celebrating my husband Alan Burke's first trip as an official North Carolina train host today. That is a dream that Alan has had for a while. So our prayers of joy and gratitude are with you, Phyllis and Alan. And Michaela writes that she is joyful that she got a swing set for Christmas, and I wish that I could swing with you on that. And our prayers of joy and gratitude are with you, Michaela.
It is said that after the prince of the Shakyas witnessed suffering and fled the pleasure palace of his father, he fell in with a group of ascetics who practiced rigid and painful austerities. He himself wasted away to almost nothing, and yet throughout it all, he had come no closer to finding an answer to suffering. So he set his thought and actions on a different course and decided to abandon the life of a pure ascetic. His 5 companions left him after he made the decision to take more substantial food and to abandon asceticism. Then Siddhartha entered a village in search of food. There, a woman named Sujata offered him a dish of milk and a separate vessel of honey. His strength returned. Siddhartha washed himself in the Nairanjana river and then set off to the Bodhi tree. He spread a mat of kusha grass underneath, crossed his legs, and sat. He sat, having listened to all the teachers, studied all the sacred texts, and tried all the methods. Now there was nothing to rely on, no one to turn to, nowhere to go. He sat solid and unmoving and determined as a mountain, until finally, after 6 days, his eye opened on the rising morning star, so it is said, and he realized that what he had been looking for had never been lost, neither to him nor to anyone else. Therefore, there was nothing to attain, and no longer any struggle to attain it. Wonder of wonders, he is reported to have said. This very enlightenment is the nature of all beings, and yet they are unhappy for the lack of it. So it was that Siddhartha Gautama woke up at the age of 35 and became the Buddha, the awakened one, known as Shakyamuni, no longer the prince, but the sage of the Shakyas. For 7 weeks, he enjoyed the freedom and tranquility of liberation. At first, he had no inclination to speak about his realization. He felt it would be too difficult for most people to understand. But when, according to legend, Brahma, chief of the 3,000 worlds, requested that the awakened one teach, since there were those whose eyes were only a little clouded over, the Buddha agreed.
Now we invite our children and youth to the RE wing for snack and fellowship. We will sing Go in Peace, Go in Love, Go in Joy.
Go
Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. To the Buddha, the teachings, and the spiritual community, I turn to refuge at the beginning of the year and throughout. The story of the Buddha's enlightenment is a compelling one. Adored across the various schools and traditions of Buddhism, it is even, if novels like Hermann Hesse's Siddhartha are any indication, appreciated by non-Buddhists as well. It's not hard to see why. The narrative of self-discovery remains compelling to this day. A prince has it all, gives it all up after profound encounters with the suffering world, almost tortures himself to death, and finally has that profound experience of awakening upon beholding the morning star. The screenplay writes itself, complete with a happy ending. But the thing about happy endings is life stubbornly insists on moving on. The fact of the matter is that the world the Buddha inhabited both before and after his awakening experience was a dangerous world. One of the earliest canonical sutras is about a serial killer who made a necklace of his victims' fingers. The region of North India, Nepal, at the time of the Buddha, was divided between city-states that often competed violently but could come together for mutual defense against outside forces as necessary. It was a time of cultural and religious upheaval. The Vedic, heavily ritualized worship of the past was fading into the background amidst an onrush of new philosophical, mystical, exo and esoteric ways of thinking, all clamoring to come out on top. Even those last 6 days when he sat under the Bodhi tree, the Buddha is said to have been beset by all the forces of distraction, violence, delusion, and seduction in the universe, personified by the demonic figure Mara. Yet it is said that the Buddha prevailed over Mara for 2 reasons. The first is that he reached down and he touched the ground. And at his touch, the earth defended him. Flowers sprung to life all around where the Buddha was sitting, helping to keep the forces of Mara at bay. The second is that the Buddha was practicing awareness so intently and was so grounded in the present moment that all of Mara's threats and charms went up in smoke. We all come to this new year with our own set of expectations, hopes, wishes, and anxieties. If the previous year ended on a high note, we hope it will continue. We might be worried about what's to come for us. We might be moving, say, or making a major life or work transition. We could be worried about more than just our own lives and family units. We enter this year with over 20 wars or civil wars flaring across the globe, all featuring human rights abuses, some rising to the point of war crimes or worse, several founded by our own government. Environmental catastrophe continues to loom as an existential threat. We are barely a week into the new year, and there are already hundreds of anti-trans bills proposed in state houses across the country. And there are elections this year, not only our own, but all around the world. Important elections with uncertain but potentially perilous outcomes. The world we live in and the year we are entering might feel to some of us quite dangerous. Here is where I think the story of the Buddha's enlightenment and the work of becoming fully centered in the present moment can help give us tools to face the new year, to face our dangerous world. with wisdom, courage, and compassion. And I do mean that it is work. The platforms on which Buddhists sit, be they the hard earth under the Bodhi tree or the firm buckwheat cushions in the meditation hall, are places for work. Mindfulness for Buddhists is about work first, and any of the well-hyped psychological benefits a distinct and distant second. This thinking is laid out in a famous passage from the Pali Canon. You shouldn't chase after the past or place expectations on the future. What is past is left behind. The future is as yet unreached. Whatever quality is present, you work clearly to see right there. Not taken in, unshaken. That's how you develop the heart. Mindfulness and other meditative practices bring us to the present moment for clarity. Our monkey minds spend so much time leaping from thoughts of what was to thoughts of what will be. Our worries and anxieties, our hopes and dreams, all of these help keep us from facing the reality that this life is unsatisfactory by its nature. The thing that the Buddha says you clearly see right there is the unavoidable presence of death. As the scripture goes on, ardently doing what should be done today, for who knows, tomorrow, death. There is no bargaining with death and his mighty horde. And please, do not misunderstand. This is not meant to be some sort of nihilistic observation of life's futility. Unlike the ascetics with whom he heavily tortured his own body, the Buddha observed that the present moment is not merely the result of things that happened in the past. Yes, what happened in the past leads to the present moment. But what we do when we are rooted in awareness within the present moment can change our experience of it. Recognizing the suffering implicit in this world, we can, in other words, take action in the present moment to either move closer towards or further away from suffering. Action. For his former ascetic companions, action was wholly physical. You got rid of bad karma by burning it off through physical austerities. End of story. The Buddha, on the other hand, saw the root of action as first mental and then physical. We throw up fabrications to support our delusions about the world around us and about ourselves. We do this to stoke our fears, to indulge our ignorance. How can we begin, the Buddha seems to be asking, to change the present moment, right here and right now, with those fabrications wrapping our senses of self so tightly we can't properly recognize the present moment to start with? The work the Buddha did under the Bodhi tree, the work we do, even when we are simply counting the breath, is the work of letting go of those fabrications, cutting their binds one by one, pausing from time to time to clip new ones we didn't even know were there. There's a framework I learned when working with an organization called the Zen Peacemakers, founded by a wonderful teacher named Roshi Bernie Glassman. Bernie was one of the earliest leaders in the engaged Buddhist movement. Now, to call it a movement might be generous, but the engaged Buddhist label typically refers to teachers or specific communities of Buddhists that devote themselves to social engagement, activism, organizing, even political change. Bernie's approach to doing the work of transforming the present moment in order to face the future was threefold. First, practice not knowing. Second, practice bearing witness. Third, do acts of loving kindness. The not knowing is how we ground ourselves in the present moment. It's where we take care of all our fabrications, or at the very least, agree to leave them just outside the work we are preparing to undertake. Maybe that work is a restorative justice circle, a mutual aid emergency, a protest where there's a real threat of police violence and retaliation. Whatever it is, not knowing entails leaving all our preconceived junk at the door. We come to the present moment, in other words, open and curious. This openness and curiosity allows us to bear witness to the suffering of the world around us. Even if we're just stepping into an argument between our child and our spouse, or mediating a dispute between friends or coworkers, when we're not encumbered by our junk, we can really see their suffering without the blinders of our own egos. We can hold compassion for all involved parties. Bearing witness allows us to shine a light onto conflict and crisis, seeing root causes with fresh eyes. Bearing witness is a kind of an equanimity. Since we've left our junk, including our baggage, with the people we're interacting with at the door, this equanimity allows us to respond without judgment or bias, not in some cold, disconnected way, but with warmth and solidarity. It is through bearing witness to the suffering world that we begin to understand far better the actions we need to take in the moment to transform that world and alleviate the suffering not only of others but of ourselves. It's a simple formula, but not easy to work with even when you've been working on it for years. But working in the present moment this way is one method by which we can bring the work we do on our cushions or in our moments of prayer into the world we live in and to the people we interact with. It would be easy to look at the year ahead and shrink from it. It would be easy to look at the year ahead and construct all sorts of narratives about how this and that are likely to shake out. Some of those guesses will be more educated than others, but ultimately they will all be guesses. What if instead we started to change the present moment, right here and right now? You're not beating death, the Buddha said. So why not get to work right now while you're still here? There's one final piece of the Buddha's enlightenment story I'd like to share with you. And that's the wonder that he experienced at his moment of enlightenment. Ahead in the sky, the rising morning star. Beneath, the cool, dewy morning earth. Everything is awakened just as it is. I don't know about you, but there are times when I experience moments of bliss and beauty, even the simple joy of watching two squirrels argue on my windowsill. And I feel immensely guilty. How is it fair that I get this moment while bombs are dropped in my name? This guilt, too, the Buddha would say, is one more fabrication, preventing me from getting down to the work I so urgently need to do. Let those moments of bliss fuel your desire to end suffering for the squirrels and everyone else. Those well-hyped psychological benefits of meditation aren't just made up out of whole cloth. When we see the present moment for what it is and let go of more and more of our fabrications, we can feel the oppressive grip of our suffering world begin to relax, get a little lighter. To that end, I'd like to close this morning with a poem by the late recluse poet of Vermont, David Budbill. The poem is titled Sometimes, and I offer it as a prayer offering for the year ahead, that we may stay grounded in what's present before and within us, while not losing sight of the suffering in the world, especially that with which we are or have been complicit. Sometimes when day after day we have cloudless blue skies, warm temperatures, colorful trees, and brilliant sun, when it seems like all of this will go on forever, when I harvest vegetables from the garden all day, then drink tea and doze in the afternoon sun, and in the evening one night make pickled beets and green tomato chutney, the next red tomato chutney, and the day after that pick the fruits of my arbor and make grape jam. When we walk in the woods every evening over fallen leaves, through yellow light when nights are cool and days warm. When I am so happy, I am afraid I might explode or disappear or somehow be taken away from all of this. At those times, when I feel so happy, so good, so alive, so in love with the world, with my own sensuous, beautiful life, suddenly I think about all the suffering and pain in the world, the agony and dying. I think about all those people being tortured right now in my name. But I still feel happy and good, alive and in love with the world and with my lucky, guilty, sensuous, beautiful life, because I know in the next minute or tomorrow, all this may be taken from me, and therefore I've got to say right now what I feel and know and see. I've got to say right now how beautiful and sweet this world can be. Oh, amen.
One of the ministries of this church is our Minister's Discretionary Fund, which is available to anyone in a tough spot. We can help with medical bills, rent, groceries, or other needs. Reverend Sadie's email and phone number are on the back of your order of service, or you can contact the church through our website. We share the plate with many organizations that make a difference in our community and beyond. This month's recipient is the Interactive Resource Center, or the IRC for short. The IRC invites people experiencing homelessness to be part of a supportive community free of barriers. They provide services that help our Guilford County neighbors reconnect with our own lives and with the community at large. They promote dignity, respect, connection, and empowerment in an environment where trust and relationships matter. The IRC engages those they serve in building their own progress toward a life without homelessness. If you'd like to make a contribution for our offering to be split with the IRC, you can do so at the link in the description of this video. You can mail a check, or you can text to give with the information on your order of service, or you can drop some cash in the basket. Ushers will come forward to collect the offering, which will now be gratefully received.
This is the day when I send all my doubts and demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play, is here and now today. This is the moment, this is the time, when the momentum and the moment are in rhyme. Give me this moment, this precious chance, to gather up my past and make some sense at last. This is the moment when all I've done, all of my dreaming, scheming and screaming become one. This is the day, see it sparkle and shine, when all I've lived for becomes mine. Moment, my final test, destiny beckoned, I never reckoned second best. I won't look down, I must not fall. This is the moment, the sweetest moment of them all. This is the moment
Will you join me in our chalice extinguishing words? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. If you're online and would like to get more connected, you can click the link in the description of this YouTube video and let us know how we can connect with you. If you are in person, and you can fill out a pink visitor form at the visitors table, or visit our website for our contact form, or simply stick around after worship for our post-worship reflection. During our postlude, anyone who needs to or wishes to leave may go with our blessing. We will have adult religious exploration in the sanctuary, focusing on how our service speaks to your life. But there are a couple of announcements. For one thing, the men's night out that's in your order of service is actually on the 8th, because Monday is January 8th. I think the other dates are all correct. I just want to point out that Exploring Membership, a 2-part class, will be starting on Tuesday, January 30th, 6 to 8, and continues on February 1st, 6 to 8, and those contact information is in your order of service. So again, please join us for adult religious exploration. Grab your coffee after the benediction, and we will start about 11:15.
Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. Birds and trees and stars and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We recite our prayers and our scriptures and our sacred texts for the many beings of the world, in grateful thanks to all our many guides along the way, all Buddhas throughout space and time, all bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, the great Prajnaparamita. I beg to urge you, everyone, life and death is a grave matter, and things pass quickly away. Each of us must be completely alert, never neglectful, never indulgent. Om. Amen. Would you join me in singing benediction hymn number 400? Again.
It becomes